So what I wanted to look at is syndication, because at the moment I'm not doing a very good job of syndicating the stuff that's on my website elsewhere. And I'm doing a terrible job of syndicating the stuff that I post elsewhere and getting it back to my own website. And so I was hoping to pick people's brains, find out what they're doing, if they're doing anything, what they would consider to be important. And yeah, to go from there and see if maybe we can improve anything that's already out there, or if I've just got everything set up wrong. Casper, do you want to?
Yeah.
I'll try and point this in your direction.
Okay. Yeah, just to add to what you said, Rose, I'm exploring a business use case for syndication elsewhere, I think, mostly. But also, no, we just learned in David's sessions that some services you cannot syndicate to, but you have to syndicate from back to your site. So I'm basically exploring in the context of WordPress, because WordPress is just big and there are many people building sites for WordPress. And I look at the use case of small business sites and micro business sites, and yeah, how they can basically get back to owning their content, because so many small business owners just have a Facebook page and actually don't even have a website anymore, or it's totally neglected or whatever, and just want to get back on the topic and hopefully eventually come up with some sort of framework or standardized approach, or maybe even an app or whatever, or a theme or something that makers of WordPress sites can use, those micro agencies and the developers who work for small business clients. Yeah, to introduce syndication to small businesses. I'm also looking specifically at the SMS user interface for them to post, but I think that's a little bit out of scope here.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, one of the key things that I want, hey people, is to be able to post from my phone, but not necessarily via SMS, just because I'm always traveling and there's no guarantee I will have actual signal. I use the internet, like that is the way that I communicate with people. And between Google Voice and Cisco Jabber for work, well, I have a phone number which I use, but I never actually answer.
So we talked about at lunch, everyone is already on WhatsApp and Telegram, and chatbots with everyone. You can just build chatbots.
I almost forgot. Do you want? I forgot.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so of course you could build a chatbot, which might actually be.
I need a lazy Susan.
Yes, you do. Which might actually be the smarter solution, because then it works whenever. The only difficulty with something like WhatsApp, which I find ridiculous, is that your phone has to be connected to the internet for you to be able to use WhatsApp on any other device, which is a whole other conversation. But for that reason specifically, I would vote to, if the community was looking to build something and looking for a starting point, Telegram might well be better there. Because while you need a phone number to sign up for the service, there is no requirement that your phone is connected to the internet for you to be able to use it.
Telegram is owned by a hostile government.
Yes, which is another problem.
Telegram is owned by what?
An hostile government.
Yes.
A hostile government?
Yeah, it's controlled by the Russian government.
Actually, in terms of market share, WhatsApp is just ubiquitous.
In Europe, yes.
Pretty much all.
Growing in the US.
It's growing in the US. It is not as popular. I have to prompt people to install it.
In the US, not, but Canada, South America, large parts of Africa, Europe, all over Europe.
But it's owned by Facebook. So.
Yeah, but didn't you hear last week? Facebook cares about privacy now. By the way, that was the response when he said it also, apparently. By the audience in front of him, which was full of Facebook developers.
I know people
that there's a distributed Slack that you don't need to install. It works in your browser, so if
well, the thing is there are lots of chat solutions, and realistically, you could have something that receives messages called like a micropub client, and you just need to write a translator for it at the other end. Which, yeah.
That's why we ended up with the protocols we did. They're all about this sort of generic way of communicating, which can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
So you just turn one API into another API and it'll work.
But one of the things that prompted this was, I think you were saying, and Austin Tantek, that what you do is you post your photos to your own website and then you syndicate them to Instagram, because Instagram doesn't let you post multiple photos, some that are portrait and some that are landscape.
Yeah, Yeah, that's
Private.
right. I find that really annoying. So that's a good point. Let's see. Do I have there as an example?
There is also another issue, I think, at the moment is that our communication is moving from post to stories,
Yes.
and that's all other.
Yeah. And the stories
stories.
So Instagram stories are you take a picture and you post it, and you can share it with either all of your followers, all of your friends, or like a subset of people, and it's available for 24 hours. So when somebody logs in, they can just see the pictures for 24 hours and then it disappears, which on the one hand is pretty cool. On the other hand, you lose your data.
I know of at least one person in the community who created that feature.
Okay, who?
Oh, wow. Guess.
Oh,
No, not
No,
me.
I'm saying guess who.
Oh, okay. Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
By
this
the
is-
way,
It was gonna be a choice
for
of
everybody's
two.
information, if something has been created in this community, it is probably Aaron Parecki.
Yes.
It is just not to insult anybody else. He's just usually ahead of all of us.
So Instagram has the lowest common aspect ratio problem, which means either square or one of their fixed access ratios. So like if I post multiple photos, they have to all be the same aspect ratio, even if I want to make them different ones. And so but on my own site, in addition to posting a higher resolution one, I can post portrait, 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 landscape, portrait. Thank you.
Wow. There's no technical reason for them to do it like that.
No, but there's also absolutely no technical reason for when somebody posts 3 portrait photos for them to put white space on each side, but they do.
Right? So
They do?
Yep.
On the wait.
and then I can also post
Square-ish?
oh yeah, I guess that's fitting in the whole. That's the original. Oh, there we go. There's the full resolution.
Mhm.
That I can't do that on Instagram.
Because that's the other thing that I am a little concerned about
that was my iPod.
Yeah.
Just saying.
When you post pictures on Instagram, they downgrade the resolution.
Yeah.
Which is the other reason why I want to start posting my photos to my own website first and then syndicating them to Instagram. And the one thing I'm looking at to doing that.
You know where they don't downgrade your resolution?
When it's low enough already?
No, Swarm.
Ah.
So this is the hack, which you can kind of see if you look carefully at the URL, which is that I'm using Swarm as a photo hosting service, Foursquare. So all Swarm Foursquare accounts are all private, 100%. There's no public accounts.
Hey, aren't there services that connect to things? Like if you post to Twitter, it also posts to Facebook.
So there's like Bridgie, which means that you can, if you post something to your website, you can syndicate it to Twitter, but some services like Instagram and Swarm are closed and won't let you post them. So what you have to do is you get the replies back.
So is anybody doing a chain where they post to Twitter and Twitter, where some of the sites that allow you to post to another site, they post to, let's say, Twitter. Twitter automatically, they still have the feature where anything you post to Twitter will automatically end up on Facebook. They used to have that.
So what I'm doing,
where they do it like a chain of.
I'm doing it a little bit differently. Whenever I post to Foursquare, so Swarm or Instagram, I let those syndicate to Facebook, and then I use the Own Your Gram and Swarm to get that onto my website, and then I have to figure out somehow how to get that Facebook link and put that as a syndication
Manually
link.
is the only one.
Yeah, so I want an automated system for that somehow, but I also need to figure out syndicating everything else to Facebook, because at the moment Jetpack, which is what I'm using from the WordPress folks, is doing a very sucky job with notes. It's like, here's the URL.
I have a whole long conversation about the Jetpack publicize Facebook.
I'm literally only using it for Facebook because I have solutions.
One of the few things that still works. They turned everything else on.
I know.
Jetpack can publish to Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason why is they're only allowing approved partners to do it, and I think Jetpack is still approved.
Wow.
But even they have said that that's not going to last.
Yeah. In my case, I'm posting to a Facebook page, which is something that Facebook is happy to let people do by the API, at least today. Who knows about tomorrow?
If you write the integration, I can give you a checkbox for it.
Well, there we
To turn it off, that you have to create an app.
It's
still working, but
yeah, but I know that they've stopped letting people export stuff on pages, and groups was stopped sometime last year, which meant that we lost a lot of data. Yes.
Because privacy is important. Everything should be so private that even you yourself cannot use it.
GDPR.
Here we go. I used to posse to Facebook. So my photos, oh, and by the way, this is my style sheets are annual. So you'll notice this is the black and white normal display of my website.
Why are your
It's in
buttons broken?
Speaking of which, that's a question. That's a conversation you have with you.
Do you want to talk about it?
Part of the things I need to fix, and that's due to Twitter changing their images and stuff. So I need to do that. But this is the posse sessions. This is the things I've posse. So I used to be posting my photos automatically to Facebook, Flickr, and Twitter. Back when Bridgie was able to publish to Facebook. It no longer does that since last August, since Facebook dropped their API for publishing. So I no longer posse to Facebook. I just can't be bothered to go there and post separately.
Since it came up in a different
but I still post to Instagram
context, so. Have you considered indicating on links that connection is no longer active?
No, because that is actually still a valid link. Like this post is still there.
So these only show up when the syndicate, the rel syndicate, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll see Twitter.
I'm just going to look at something.
Yeah, so Twitter, I can only post the first 4 photos. And you post a multi-photo.
That's what I was going to look at.
Man, I missed that donut. That was a really good donut. Black currant cider.
So this was a 2018 donut.
Remnants. You're in Berlin.
I've been there last November.
Okay, if I was willing to reinstall the Facebook app on my phone,
You're
then I
talking to
could
somebody
use
who likes
shortcuts
donuts from
to
Portland
post
so much that he's
something
asked
to my
for imports
website
from other
and then
people.
syndicate it to Facebook.
Am I this
Sorry, Rose.
characteristic?
Just what about the other way? I mean, it's still possible to fetch posts from Facebook. Huh?
Well,
So somebody
if it's a public Facebook page, theoretically you could write a scraper, which would be doing something like own your gram, which then just goes
which is illegal, by the way,
and gets the data. And you have to make sure that Facebook doesn't notice it. So you probably want to have it on a bunch of different servers that randomly.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons I don't want to use on your gram is the lower resolution problem.
Yeah.
I like higher resolution photos so that, yeah.
but you can tell people to see the high resolution photo on your website.
Not if you use on your gram, because then it's taking the photo from Instagram
Yeah.
and publishing it to your website.
So I'm looking at using. Hi, people in chat. There's an app on iOS. It used to be called Workflow. It's now owned by Apple. It's called Shortcuts, and that has integrations with social media networks such as Facebook and Instagram. But it requires the app to be installed, and I'm not sure I'm willing to reinstall the Facebook app to syndicate to Facebook.
So
No, it's an iOS thing. It's built into the system.
No, they took out the built-in system support for social networks. They took that out with iOS 11.
it also locks you into having to use one platform, which is also where, since we're a pluralistic community, that's not going to work for everyone.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a pretty easy way to do it. I've written several shortcuts for this kind of thing, so I'm wondering about just doing that and then using that to syndicate to other things. But I was wondering what other people want to do to syndicate stuff, or do they not care and you just want it on your own website?
Well, here's a question that we can answer. Where do you want to syndicate to?
Well, specifically, I want
That you
everything
can.
syndicated to a Facebook page because there are people who want to follow me, but they only use Facebook. They don't use Twitter.
Really?
They don't use Instagram. Yep.
So places we want
They
to
won't use it
syndicate
either?
to. I'm just making a list. Facebook.
In some cases, I've actually seriously considered
Pages.
writing a WhatsApp bot that every time I post something, it posts it in a WhatsApp channel that they can follow,
Okay, Google My Business.
which could work. And I would
Yeah.
actually not mind syndicating things to WhatsApp because then people could follow a WhatsApp channel.
That's cool.
By the way, that is technically possible. I've seen people working on WhatsApp, third-party WhatsApp clients using some creative methodology.
How creative is the creative
Well,
methodology?
there's a library that's being actively worked on right now for Purple, and libpurple is easy enough to work with.
Whoa, libpurple supports WhatsApp?
No, there's somebody who's working on a plugin for Purple, for libpurple. Let me see if I can find the link for that.
Could you add that
Here,
idea of syndicating to a posse to WhatsApp, to the WhatsApp page?
purple-go WhatsApp. I'll put the link in the Etherpad because I've been following it. It's a libpurple plugin for WhatsApp web. So you have to set up the web interface and then you can turn it off afterwards. So it just sort of takes information out of there.
But the problem with the WhatsApp web interface, you can only use it on one client at a time.
Yeah, but if you set up this and then use it, then you have it in Pigeon, or even better, you hook it into another service where you can connect to that server remotely with other servers.
So that needs to be running on an always-on machine.
Yeah, like Bittleby would do it. It would simulate an IRC interface to go to WhatsApp, which would through the purple plugin interface, which would be interesting.
Which section of the WhatsApp page should I have that to?
movement then.
Probably this area.
Right above, right, the first, add a new
I'm
first
using
section
web,
after, right before
why are
WhatsApp
we going
client.
to such great
And just
lengths
say,
to
POSSE. I
syndicate
mean, are you doing it now or not?
No,
Is it
this is
all
something I'm
time?
Then add a
considering.
brainstorming, yeah,
whole
brainstorming.
point?
The simple answer
Only two.
is
Right,
have
sorry.
well, no, because
carried
we
away.
still
And
want to
then
interact
inside
with
a
people.
three level.
Now, if you
Heading
limit your
that's how to
social
POSSE.
interaction to only,
Because you're
so we
brainstorming
want
how
the
to POSSE.
friction to be 0.
Yep.
Now, if you want to spend only
Just
interact
how
with
to-
people
because
who
it's already in
continue to
WhatsApp, so
support
you
the
just have to
standards
POSSE.
you do, that's fine. That we do that. But we're realistic in saying that we have a large group of people who we will not force off of whatever network they're on, and we don't want to be on those networks. So we have to figure out how do you seamlessly get onto a network without actually being on it. And the simple answer is syndication. You always post where you want to post, and you just have your system automatically copy over to somewhere else. Now, there are the more obsessive people who write 2 versions of the post to deal with that. Most people don't want to do that. So we're realistic. We'll be anywhere you want to be, but we're over here.
But right now it looks like to me that you have 2 easy channels. So the first easy channel is I'm posting something that is text plus images, and I'm posting it to my Indie website, and then it goes to Twitter, more or less. And then the other one is I'm posting images to Instagram, and then I'm pulling them and then syndicating them to the rest of my side and the Indie web.
That's the POSSE and the PESOS term.
These are the 2.
So POSSE is the term for when you start on your site. PESOS is the term for when you start on the other service and come back to your site.
Yeah, but it really looks like if you're dealing with text and you don't really need Facebook, you're fine with starting from your site. If you need Instagram, you have to necessarily start from Instagram.
Yeah, because they don't have a right API.
Yeah,
but a lot of services do have a right API. So it depends on the service. That's why I said the best thing to do that we can do in here is make a list of places where it is theoretically possible for us to syndicate to, but we haven't yet as a community started.
But these would be more independent sites. So if I say I want to syndicate always to Pinterest as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Pinterest have an API?
Right.
I never looked.
Ish.
Enough.
So they in some cases, some people have been allowed to do like scheduled pin posts, which businesses are using because Pinterest can drive a lot of traffic over a long period of time, because it's not so based on time, such as Twitter. It's partially based on time, but not really based on time. But it's not really an open thing that anybody can get access to, from what I know.
And Pinboard has been on my list. I have a bunch of stuff in Pinboard I'd like to pull back, but Pinboard has a social component. I may want to, and it's also a backup.
Social backup, yeah.
So I have no problem saying, okay, I'm going to be in 5 different places because if my primary copy is lost, there's still another copy.
Yeah, Pinboard is pretty good. They've got a decently open API.
Although their founder is an interesting character who I've always wanted to meet.
Manche?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting character.
I love interesting characters in this community. We have a lot of them.
We do.
No, it seems like we'll always be one step behind in this game, because let's say that now the kids are all on TikTok and actually going away from TikTok and going to somewhere else because they're bored of Musical.ly and all the rest of the
TikTok.
Yeah. So it's like, and by the time we've caught up with Snapchat, they're gonna be like.
But think of it this way: if you're always posting from your site, if you're always doing POSSE, PESOS is sort of difficult in this regard. But if you're always starting out on your own site, it doesn't matter where you're. So once you've decided, okay, I'm also going to have a presence here, you just turn on that presence and you keep doing what you're doing.
I think the problem is, though, that you have to be really quick, like when the new hot thing pops up, of creating a method to syndicate to that.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's possible to do that at all.
Assuming that it's possible, yeah.
what your business case is for it. I mean, if you're just privately posting, that's one thing. I'm always coming from the like business side, and for those use cases, I mean, there are only certain social networks that are really relevant, and that's mainly Facebook and Instagram at the moment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it gets a little bit simpler there.
Yeah.
By the way, the fact that the business side is actually the reason why people then move through these networks. I don't know if other people agree with this, but it's like, oh, Facebook is cool, and then the businesses arrive, and then people have to move away because
I thought it was when the grandparents arrived.
Also, that doesn't help.
Well, at the moment, like my Instagram stories is spammed with adverts, and then like there's a couple of accounts that I follow because sometimes they have like nice posts, but I don't care about their Instagram stories because they're literally just trying to sell me stuff. Like,
But you can mute their stories.
I have not found a way to do that. Like, it's really not
Instagram?
obvious in the
Oh.
Instagram interface.
You have to tap on their profile and then hit the dot dot dot.
Oh my god.
Of course, the
Of course.
Yeah, the dot dot dot.
And then
Do
scroll
everything.
down.
everything you need.
Okay, so I tap on the profile, and then I go to the dot dot dot, and then mute. Okay, because that does not look like. Okay, that does not look like it's going to give me an option. Mute just looks like it's going to hide it forever.
Yeah.
Terrible user interface.
There you go.
I have another question about syndication. Well, it's not really about syndication, but it's actually the storage of what is being syndicated.
Yeah.
So I looked up on the Wayback Machine, and I had an indie website in 2011,
Nice.
and then I kind of lost it all along the way.
As happens.
And one of the things that I kind of remember doing was saying, "Oh, I have all these Twitter updates cluttering my WordPress database, and my site is slow. I'm going to delete all of this." And so I deleted like 3 or 4 years of my own content that I had kind of stored dutifully on my site. And actually, there is the question that since all of these social networks are centralized, they actually take care of the problem of clutter for you in a way. It's outside of your control. It's also out of sight, out of mind in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have all your data on your neat Drupal or WordPress or whatever install you have, then you have a question of, should I mine my own data? Should I do something with my own data? Should I declutter at some point,
How do I
etc.?
protect my data?
Well, what's
as well?
declutter?
Well, getting rid of stuff like, garage sale style.
Like, who wants to buy my picture?
I'm going to put on a different hat here for a moment.
Sure.
I'm going to put on my archivist hat. I don't have one with me.
Just imagine like an Indiana Jones type desert thing,
I have
right?
one of those. What a fedora?
Like archaeologist.
No, like the
Archivist.
Yeah, it's not the same.
An archaeologist is something different.
one from the first movie when he's in the desert. I've forgotten.
Okay, well, hats aside, what is the downside of having everything?
I don't know, but
Digital space it's not like a closet. Digital space is cheap. So why can't you have everything?
Well, it's the WordPress getting slow, right?
I think sometimes it's psychology. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be like I have a plugin that is slowing down my site, and then I delete my data because I think that it's my data and it's actually completely unrelated. But it is an element to it. Like, let's say I change my business, I change my life, I change something, and
So would the better move not be to segment it and say, okay, well, the older stuff is over here, and the newer stuff is over there, but also you could turn things private. You don't have to.
mm-hmm.
But why actually go and get rid of it?
I don't know, but
Deactivate it, hide it, but why get rid of it? Someday you may want it.
Maybe the question is better posed as, how can I see in 10 years the value of having my 10-year-old tweets and updates? And is there already something that has been done inside the community to say, Facebook is triggering you by saying, last year you were skiing, and this is the picture.
So like,
is there an IndieWeb way of saying, hey, your data is so precious and it's so nice, and I'm going to give you this?
But those timeline features,
on this
we-
day and
What's that
stuff
called?
like that.
it's like what, this day in type things. On this day, we have some.
Hey.
Oh,
Awesome.
So here are a few
And
people.
this guy is like killing it. Jonathan McClure.
Oh, yeah.
aka Clever Devil.
He built a tool that people are using on Microdot blog
Mhm.
Yeah.
that
And
does
people
on this
love
day as well. But
So on this day, yeah,
in 2018, he was seeing Mary Poppins at the Family Theater in Hermosa Beach. Then you have bike riding.
this kid was right.
Then you have listened to Timetable episode 100. Replied to a post, leaving Netflix and taking my data with me.
Big Mouth is still good.
Oh, series of unfortunate.
I'm not sure if that's a picture,
He
just a stock
reposted-
picture of Netflix or what he actually was.
Okay.
And this is something that's actually built
Oh,
into
2017 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now 2017.
Yeah.
But,
But this is something that you've built into the WordPress stuff as well,
Yeah,
right?
there is a hidden feature that does it in WordPress. It's hidden because I put it into post kinds, which is not necessarily the most logical place to put it in.
went to Target 2 years ago, and the original pancake house.
Oh, they're good. I like the original pancake house. Have you ever tried their omelet?
Let me see.
It's
It's
worth
gonna
it.
be 05.
It's a baked omelet as opposed to a
Matilda.
scrambled omelet.
Just
Question
as
though.
a
It's the
personal
4th of May, not the
preference.
5th of May.
Why not delete it? Why not keep it? Why?
Oh.
It's the open web. You can do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, that's the interesting
Yeah.
part as well.
Yeah, but there's Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
Does it spark joy?
No, but
We're gonna have a Marie Kondo conversation about
plugin.
Okay.
Then download
Folds
your
and
website.
whites.
Yeah,
And
I'm going to
Joy.
disagree with Marie Kondo and say, I understand when you're talking about the physical. If you have a limited amount of space and it doesn't serve any purpose, maybe you want to declutter. We're talking about digital. Decluttering is you move it out of active use and you put it into passive use. If you can fit your entire life on a DVD and stick the DVD in your closet, how much space does it take up? So archive it, but don't wipe it completely. And I'm not talking about everything, but when I'm talking about posts, these were your thoughts at some point. 200 years from now, somebody, let's go back 200 years. Has anybody ever read letters written by somebody a few centuries ago and been inspired by them or had an emotional connection based on an old letter? So why not an old book? Has anybody read books where they've published somebody's diaries from the past and gotten some sort of intellectual interest or emotional interest or understanding of a time period? There is a historical benefit to it.
There is.
I'm not going to say you are a historical figure because
No, but
I'm not.
Maybe you.
I got the benefit today by using archive.org and looking at my website 10 years ago and seeing that I had.
But you
features.
understand the point.
So-
That's the advantage. Now,
Yeah.
if you don't see whether or not that's an advantage to share with everybody,
Mhm.
have it somewhere private. But
Right.
I would never say get rid of your thoughts from the past. I have a written diary from a week that I spent somewhere where I did a travel diary of a trip. And I've started transcribing it and putting it in. I transcribed 2 days and it's been sitting on my desk waiting for the other week. And I will sit down and do that one day.
There you go. Have you seen this?
Hey, I finally got maps working.
Interesting.
So sad.
This guy, Hernando Collins,
Cool.
he was the anti-Marie Kondo of a personal library. In the 16th century, it sounds like he amassed the biggest personal library on the planet. And the card catalog from his personal library went missing. And then they found it. So obviously his personal library disintegrated with all the
Oh, even better, he was the illegitimate son of Christopher Columbus.
What does this say that?
Last
This is
line.
right above the. Oh, I'm okay
That's
with
not
that.
a
button.
joke.
Oh my gosh.
Hernando.
One of many probably.
So 15,000 volumes. He basically picked up books wherever he went and collected 15. I mean, that's a lot of books.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Well, only a quarter of the books survive and have been housed in Seville Cathedral since 1552. However, what they found is that what he did, he hired people to summarize all the books, and then they found that list of summaries.
Which
So
sometimes exists despite the fact the books are long enough.
That's why metadata is important.
But there's also less content.
I'll put on my
there.
librarian hat now. I have one of those.
Is it purple?
So if you think that there's value, this is providing amazing value, and that summary is basically like his blogging of those books.
But there was better content back then. I'm sorry. It's just a reality. 90% of content now is relevant. This was good content.
But how do you know?
I don't
It
know.
sounded
I
In
mean,
the
it-
moment,
it
in the
was-
moment, people don't always think that content is relevant.
Yeah.
No.
Now, sometimes your thoughts on a subject are relevant. It's how people were responding to the events of the day. Now, if you say that 90% of what you write is trash and 10% is a gem, how do you know at the time which is trash and which is the gem?
Sure.
You keep both and then let history figure it out.
But like,
Someday this conversation, which is being recorded on the internet, will be used by future historians to determine the early days of the indie web. I'm saying that now just in case that actually happens in 500 years.
Hi, future historians.
But there are so many lectures that have just ended up somewhere, and then they become inspiration for a book or a film, even though the person that wrote them is not important. Like, there was one lecture that Catherine of Aragon wrote to her seamstress. It was a note or something, but because she called the seamstress by her first name rather than her title, that spawned an entire series of books. Like, it was a note about taking up a hem.
I don't generally disagree.
Yeah,
As someone that deletes his private life every year,
Yeah, but that's choice.
Yeah, the
I'm
great thing
saying
is
the
that you can
question
do
is
that.
why do it?
Yeah, and of course, if you know where you syndicated it to, then you can make sure that you delete every copy of it.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking as somebody who I'm sure has a lot of secrets that I do not publicly talk about. And I don't, but yet I consider myself a fairly public person. But I don't let every aspect of my life go everywhere. So there are things I don't want people to know about me that they might know. But if you're talking about the most general statement, the general statement is why not? Even if you're not sharing it publicly, why not have it somewhere? Put it on a disc in your closet. A CD will last probably about 20 years. By then there'll be a new format. You just every 20 years make a note.
Yeah, the problem is to find a reader for the CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whenever a piece of technology becomes obsolete, you just move to another piece of technology. So as long as every few years you pull it out and update it, probably better anyway to make sure it still works.
A backup is not a backup unless you verify that you can use it for restore.
you can still read better.
Or you just store it on magnetic tape. It lasts longer.
True.
Yeah, but magnetic tape can be demagnetized.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you want is a long-term format. So there are a few, but the problem is that the technology.
It's long-term enough, no? Magnetic.
Yeah.
Magnetic tape?
I mean, we still have readers for it at work, but we're technically university, so.
All I can say is the best way is to every few years migrate it and do it in a simple way.
I'm waiting for someone to come up with the 3D printing archive format.
Don't look at me. I don't do 3D printing. But
So you just like, it's like,
you know it's my system.
Imagine like a QR code, but 3-dimensional.
But you can go with my system. I take a USB drive. I back up things to a USB drive. I put it into a safety deposit box, and then periodically I go and swap one USB drive for another USB drive. They last a reasonably long time, but they last enough since I'm rotating them every year.
Oh yeah. Okay, that works.
And of course, the internet being what it is, you can have a drop site somewhere else and send your data to it over the internet. So I have one installed in my parents' house. I just send it there.
Yeah, my parents have no idea that they're backing up to my place in Austria. They just know that there are backups. And if the house burns down, they haven't lost all of the pictures.
I need a third backup site. Preferably out of the country. All of mine are in the US.
Oh.
So if the US government falls, I'm in trouble.
But you work for a European company, so you're not in that much trouble. You can run away.
I can flee for asylum in the European Union.
You can try. We have 7 minutes. Is there anything else that we want to mention with regards
We didn't help you, so.
Well, you kind of did.
Oh.
We talked about the different aspects.
I
of
would say
syndication.
don't bother syndicating to Facebook.
Yeah, it's just the people that I can't get away from there.
Make them use WhatsApp if they have to use
Well, there's their answer. It's the reason. There was a question earlier, why are we spending so much time in the IndieWeb community talking about closed systems we want to spend time on? It's because that's where the people we want to talk to are, and we don't want to cut ourselves off from those people.
Yeah.
On principle.
Yeah.
So we just want to use those systems as little as possible while using them to build our network, not a social network, our individual personal network.
I think you just mentioned WhatsApp. Can we syndicate to WhatsApp?
No, but that is something that I've added to the brainstorming section of the WhatsApp page today.
The only thing that is weird syndicating to WhatsApp is just like Facebook is like passive, except if you mention somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Like
it just appears
They
or
won't
doesn't.
receive a notification, but WhatsApp is just like, hey, you receive a notification right now.
But you can do channels in WhatsApp.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do
but-
And you
broadcast
don't have to be
channels.
notified whenever something happens in the channel.
Yeah, but you can only mute the channel for like, I think
No, no,
it's
no,
1
you-
hour.
you can
A year.
broadcast
A year.
also.
Yeah.
So people will have to manually mute the channel if they don't want a notification every time.
Is the channel the status or no? It's another thing.
No, that's another thing again. So WhatsApp has like a broadcast list, which is where like one or a group of people post to it, but then everybody else is merely a passive reader. There are groups, which are group
Mhm.
chats, and then there's one-to-one.
Okay,
And
got it.
which one is channels?
Broadcast is a
Broadcast
channel.
list.
Okay.
Okay. I know. You should use to message multiple
Oh,
people at once.
Alex finally got WhatsApp. Well done, Alex.
Who?
A friend of mine.
Okay, good.
The other people who like get people to switch off of Facebook is if you unfriend them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Slowly start weaning them off of it.
I got 2 people to leave Facebook in 2 years. So it's a slow grind.
I thought that an easier thing to do would be to move people from Facebook to Instagram because they mostly just post pictures anyway. And then if you post them on Instagram, they can go back to Facebook. But you can't do it the other way around.
They can.
But here's
Instagram can post to
here's the
Facebook.
reverse engineering of the WhatsApp web API. So you could reverse engineer it.
Where is this?
Can you drop that in the chat or in the Etherpad?
Well, I did. I dropped the purple one, but the purple one
But if that has
links to Go WhatsApp, which is a different implementation in Go, which links to the WhatsApp/web/revenge project. Also, the official WhatsApp business API was released in August of 2018, but that's for medium and large businesses. However, for individuals, they have the WhatsApp-web-revenge, which is a reverse engineering of the WhatsApp web thing, but it talks about exactly how you would have to do that for reading before starting the application, what you'd have to do, re-implementations. There's a re-implementation based on this in Rust, in Go, so it should be able to tell you how you would implement it in any other language. There's a technical explanation here. How to log in, how to create your own client ID, how to generate a QR code, how to request. So you still have to link it to an existing WhatsApp install on a mobile device, but it tells you how to replace the web with your own app. So if your own app is running on a server, you just connect to that server remotely.
It's just a bit weird. Like it doesn't sound very stable. Like maybe it's gonna work for 2 months and boom,
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be broken. Like
I'll put this into the WhatsApp.
I just put it into Wiki.
Oh,
The
you just,
purple thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I was going to put in the
wanted
one
to
that
download
describes
my start
the
messages.
Go ahead.
The what?
Edit.
I wanted to download my start messages, which you can't do. So I found this app that lets you do it for you, but you have to give it the money. And for me, it was exactly the same. Like, okay, I will pay you for now, and it will work, but I'm pretty sure in a few months you will be out of business because WhatsApp will change something.
Yeah, but it's an arms race. It's always an arms race. Whenever you link up to somebody else, you have to maintain that. But that's why the community doing it rather than just one person works. Because if something breaks, the community will say it's broken and somebody will step up to fix it. Which isn't ideal.
It depends how hard it is because sometimes it's broken. Oh, it's just like it takes 5 minutes to fix, and sometimes it takes like, oh, everything needs to be.
Yeah, but at least during that time you had what you wanted. So you're thinking of the rest of time, nothing lasts forever. But if you have a copy of your post and you sent it somewhere else, then your copy of the post lasts for as long as you want it to last.
Yeah, I feel like in case of WhatsApp, like if you tell your friends like I'm gonna do this now on WhatsApp, and it's broken. Oh, by the way, it's broken. It's gonna be broken for I don't know how much time. Like
why would you tell your friends?
I mean, maybe they are just like, oh, you don't post anything, right? You didn't
It's
post
more that
anything?
people would notice the
Yeah,
absence.
they notice your absence.
Yeah.
It's like if Aaron doesn't post on the internet for
So
like
you'd
25 minutes, people worry he's dead.
Yeah, but you would manually say, I'm leaving this because at the moment my system doesn't work, but that's a decision.
Yeah.
Or you could just do the I'm posting in 15 different places manually thing that some people do.
Yeah, I don't want to start posting in so many places manually.
Yeah, but the problem is, to the point, what happens when you started out doing it automatically, but now you can't anymore? You don't want to leave the place, you end up forced in that position.
Yeah.
And my solution was when I used to publish everything to Facebook when Bridgie supported it. And since then, I have not really done anything with Facebook. And I haven't had anybody who said, you don't post on Facebook anymore. I said, All the people who responded to me during that time, not a single one of them came to me and said, why don't I hear from you anymore? So if that didn't happen, then it wasn't worth you spending your time there because nobody cared.
In my case, I do have people asking me, why aren't you posting on
Yes,
Facebook
so
anymore?
what we've established is it's worth it for you.
Yeah, but not necessarily for anybody else.
The reason I'm mentioning is that you may think that it is worth it, but then you realize you are just yelling into an echo chamber that nobody's responding to, and
Or
everybody's
people
just,
are clicking like automatically
Yeah.
because it's there.
Hmm.
And it's a picture of chocolate or something. Yeah.
Did anybody by any chance notice any SEO advantages of having everything stored for a long time in terms of live stream and
Oh yeah, stable
microblogging?
URLs make a big difference.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they definitely do.
Yeah.
well,
And POSSing does too.
Yeah.
Because it builds you links into your own personal
Yeah.
permalinks.
So in this case, it would make sense if you have a primary website, not to create a personal website, like a POSSE website, but actually have everything.
under your
In the-
domain, even if you have a section, because there's nothing
Yeah.
that says you can't section it.
Yeah.
That's my screen.
Like you have on your side, actually. So you have your blog and then you have your
Yeah,
microblog.
exactly. I'm
there.
just
This
using
is-
categories in WordPress for that.
Right, and you're just feeding everything to a category.
Yeah, by default, everything goes to the microblog category,
Mm-hmm.
which I should probably rename to personal updates at some
Mm-hmm.
point. That could be like a 30-second project for tomorrow. If it takes that long. But then, yeah, and then
Some people use stream.
yeah,
as
and
their title.
Stream, yeah. Live
Yeah.
stream, live stream, not live stream. Sorry.
Some people just stream.
Stream, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fire hose is another one. Some people use.
yeah, that's the other thing
Pretentious,
that I need
but
to.
okay, yeah.
Well, it's on my list. I took all of my posts off of the homepage because I used to have a traditional show it. I took it off, but what I don't have is this. I have an all post stream, which is everything, but I don't have a. Here is a combination of all the stuff I think you want to look at.
Which is,
I don't have that. It's on my list.
and that would be your
A
version of the Facebook algorithm?
Well, no, it would be here are the areas where I think most people will want, and I've filtered out. You can look at everything. Here's everything, but here's like the 4 most common things I think people want. So not an algorithm, excluding. Do people want to look at my check-ins? Yes or no? Who knows? But are they there? Yes. But should they be in, like a main feed as opposed to an all feed? But I can never decide what what do the majority of people want to see about me and what do they
He
not?
tried to collect
Don't you have
every single
metrics, some
bullet
kind of
point.
metrics to decide?
Nice.
And he established the system. He wrote
Probably,
down
but
when
I've
and
never
where he
really
found them
spent
and how
much
much
time
he
with
paid.
metrics.
That's pretty good cataloging.
I turned off keeping track of
So I
visitors to
just
my
added
site
that to
on the basis that
Yeah.
it wasn't important enough to me. I may turn it back on at some point, but
Okay, I need to figure out how to fix this.
at one point I was using Google for that, and I didn't really see the point. I have to implement
This is my
own
microblog
local thing.
feed.
Just
And
analyze the server logs.
I need to talk to David.
Yeah,
Because
that's
he's
what I'm
having
saying.
a
I need
massive
to.
one. I have a
Yeah, you
feeling
just
I need
have to
to
fit
tweak
to the
something
bots.
in the template.
The,
The
Because
bots.
I'm happy
Google
with these
bot.
showing up on my
but
website, but on
there's
my
this
site they're
tool,
small.
the Go Access,
But
which
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
well,
I've
actually, on my
I've
site
used
they
it.
don't show it all.
Yeah.
Oh
What
wait,
I'm saying
yeah,
is
they
I
do.
have to
They're
choose
tiny,
one
though.
that will look at the different, because I would want to know based on category.
Like this-
Categories are in the URL of most WordPress pages,
Mhm.
but if they go directly to the URL, then I'm not tracking that. I get the URL, and then I still have to figure out the category.
Mhm.
So I need something that integrates into WordPress to look at those posts and say,
Right.
okay, so to show me that, and that's what I've never written. I can do the access logs. It's not a problem where to get the
Photo
data. It's a
of
problem
the
of how to
Sessions
process it,
after
and it's
change
never been high on
times.
my list. So
I have a picture. I have not
I have a
yet
big list.
updated
Everything is
it,
doable,
but I
but
have
it's
a
just
picture right
takes
here.
time.
But we
Yeah.
should update it.
Yeah, if somebody wanted
I just
to
posted in that.
figure out a way that I could spend more time on this in my life, you guys could go do my laundry for me or something.
There are laundry services.
yes.
Yeah, there's that too.
I'll take up a collection.
I think you could start a Patreon.
Okay, where
Yes,
Where's
pay
the
for
laundry?
David's laundry so he has more time to get him a cleaning lady
Just a question.
who cleans.
Do you add like when you post on other networks? Do you add like this content was originally posted
Yes.
somewhere?
In fact,
Like
that is,
canonical.
Yeah, there are different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
let's see.
So
What
you do it with
sessions posted?
perma-citations, which is somewhat unique because I don't know who else is
There
currently
you
using it.
go.
What is
So there is a whole page
Cool.
Oh my God, this
Well,
what?
originally posted.
Does that app work with any source of data?
What?
The one that you just used?
What, Loki?
You mean the chat?
Yeah, because this is basically our general channel at my company. If you have an app for that, then people will stop using general to ask the same question over and over. So what you just did was
We have one of the smartest AI robots.
Oh.
Loki is adorable and does not eat cookies right now. He
In the
runs away
channel.
from cookies. He jumps on cookies.
He likes. Yeah.
there's still
that's
a public
right. But he
block,
won't
right?
eat
A
cookies right
publicly
now.
accessible
It's been like
block
3 weeks.
that
It's
everyone-
He lost
well,
a
it's
cookie.
Loki resides in a handful of open channels on Freenode, the ones we use.
I don't think the full
And
source
the
is
source
available.
code is naturally not available
Not
because
fully
he's
available.
also a spam protector.
But I think parts of it.
But if you go into the
It's
IndieWeb
based on
channels and
another
ask
bot.
what is something, you'll get an answer. Like,
But I think parts of it come from other bots that I think are available.
but
Yeah, and you
this
Loki has a lot
You
of
asked the
custom
question,
stuff to
right?
work with.
originally posted it.
Oh, so the canonical thing
I
too.
have to do it manually.
So some people do that. I mean,
'Cause I know Medium allows you to, like, when you post with the API, allows you to tell directly, like in the API, like this content was originally posted there. So like this is basically a copy.
oh yeah, we should add the Medium example if you have a good one.
Well, there is a Medium example there, POSSE Medium. post.
There is.
I think there's so
There's several
Medium.
people.
yeah, possibly
Yeah,
medium.
look.
There we go. So that's what the text uses.
Does
I would suggest you use it for SEO.
But
so
this is
you
manual,
can,
right? You have to.
on the link anchor
not
text,
everything
you can use the keywords you much prefer.
Yeah, you could.
So if you are on WordPress, of course, you can automatically have rel canonical, and then WordPress does it for you. But otherwise, it has to be manual, right?
Syndication links, one of the plugins that I have automatically does rel syndication for you. Now, it could support any plugin that does syndication. However, you have
On
to
my Twitter, it's
tell
automatically the
syndication
bottom.
links where to find the links to the other.
Every post
app
has my
stores.
permalink.
So there are a few auto-built
I presume starting every
integrations. When people have said, "Can you make this plugin work?" I just go in the code and see where they're storing it.
Because it's a text
Well,
type.
So I'll do that for
Oh,
any
okay.
plugin anybody
I
asks me
presume it's
to,
basically the name.
or just tell me where it's stored.
I can't believe you have that username.
But see, that's what happens when you get in early.
Really early, you mean?
Yeah,
was
we're
my
one
very
of the
first-
first 26 people, basically.
No.
No, probably.
Maybe 30.
Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't trendy. No one
Yeah.
cared. I was like, I think I'm like user
Sorry,
number
what
like
did you say?
11,000 or something.
I had the option of having Matteo, and I chose Matteo C because I thought it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
This was the first thing I posseed.
Did anyone ever try to buy it from you? Because
People keep trying to buy my name for their business because it's a pretty name, and it's like, no, this is my actual name.
people who have rosemary or orchards.
Yeah, so
Orchards.
people like try and start a business with the name Rosemary Orchard, and then they ask me if they can buy my Twitter name and my URL and my Instagram handle, and it's like, I'm a real person. Go choose another name. You can do that. I'm not changing mine.
Has that ever been an actual orchard that tried to buy it?
There are not that many of us, surprisingly enough.
And
No, I
actually,
meant an actual, like an apple orchard.
No. The last company was like making their own body moisturizer, shower gel, and stuff.
actually,
Apparently,
there
they
was
had a
rosemary.
unique rosemary and apple blend. It's like,
Well, tell them that you'll be the spokesperson.
I told them they were welcome to send me free stuff, but that wouldn't influence my decision that I was not selling them my stuff.
I think I heard
But
a
you
story
could
like
be-
it's someone in the States sold his name, and it's doable.
Are we
apparently.
ending
It's
this
weird.
session?
Yes,
Yeah.
the session
So I will
was
stop
a
the
while ago.
broadcast.
It's so weird.
This now concludes our broadcast day. Please stay tuned for future broadcasting.
Okay.